everyone! Welcome back to another 1v1 battle. This is going to be the Beastmen versus the Warriors of Chaos. My army here is just a front line of Ungor Spears. We have Morgor the Shadowgave, a Beast Shaman of the Beast with only Flock of Doom, 2 Gorbals, and then a Minotaur with great weapons to try and counter Cav is what I brought them for. We have a group of Harpies, and then 2 Ungor Raiders here, which I almost never use, but it's trying to incorporate them a little bit more. And then also 2 Centaurs with great weapons, again, for a Cav fight. My opponent doesn't have any Cav. What they have is a line of Chaos Warriors with Halberds, and then a Chosen with Halberds. They also have 2 Dragon Ogre Shaggoths and a Chaos Lord Sorcerer of Death mounted on a Manticore. Pretty simple army. I guess they were really wanting to counter Minotaurs and large creatures, which is a safe thing to do as Chaos when you fight against Beastmen. Beastmen typically do bring a lot of large creatures. I did bring a few, including my Gorbals and our Minotaurs with great weapons, and also the Centaurs are all large creatures that can take bonus damage from these Halberds. So I'm going to move up our Ungor Raiders and try and shoot into these Chaos Warriors. Now, this isn't armor-piercing damage, but it's better than nothing. And also, ideally, I would also want them to target the Dragon Ogre Shaggoths because they don't have the highest armor in the game, and they're kind of easy to hit because they're large targets. So I would want their help to focus down the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. But for right now, I would just start to weaken these Chaos Warriors with Halberds instead. Because we can, because they're close. Meanwhile, I'm marching the rest of my army up, and I'm going to form a line like this. But then we are going to withdraw, and then withdraw, and I think we're going to withdraw back to about right here. And we're going to start kiting the enemy army, because I was like, well, wait a minute, there's no reason for me to charge. I'm in my Beastman mentality, which is you charge the enemy, but in this case, they have nothing that's really threatening us, and they have a bunch of units that can utterly destroy my army, for the most part. The Ungor Spears won't be able to hold up against Chaos Warriors. My Gorbals and Minotaurs will be destroyed by Halberds, along with my Centaurs if left in combat for too long, so I'm like, well, never mind. So we're just going to fire into these Chaos Warriors because you see they are lining up, so I thought they were going to hold briefly, waiting for me to charge them. So I'm just going to sit here and fire into them with the Ungor Raiders. I think I'm going to cast my first Flock of Doom. There we go. And trying to hit these 2 units right there. Trying to hit whatever units are bunched up that I can. And then we're going to start withdrawing. Everyone's just going to keep pulling back and then pulling back. And we're going to keep casting Flock of Doom because there's really no point in me engaging right now. Because right now, my enemy has the advantage. I think they can win this battle. They can keep the Dragon Ogre safe for my Minotaur squad by just keeping them around the Halberds. And my Minotaurs will just get chewed to pieces by these Halberds. So I'm like, I can't really engage right now without, weakening them up a little bit. So we're going to try and pepper them with Ungor Raider fire. And again, we're just going to keep withdrawing back towards this forest. And we're going to try and buy time for the Flock of Doom spells. I think we're going to cast one more, actually, before this battle is underway. You can see the Dragon Ogre Shaggoths are actually going to charge ahead of the Halberd line, so I'm seeing this. I don't want to engage yet. I want to try and pull them as far away from the Halberds as I can. So if the enemy wants to get impatient and just charge the Dragon Ogre Shaggoths in away from their Halberds, I'm fine with this. So now we're going to engage them with these spears. I'm going to turn around with our Gorbal Minotaur squad, but you see the enemy is actually going to withdraw at this point, so I'm like, well, okay. So I'm going to withdraw as well. I'm not going to engage the Halberds quite yet. Still want to try and do some damage to them before we engage. So there goes another Flock of Doom. Only hits one target, but at least we're going to hit him. Minotaur is going to get... wow, that's actually a big hit on the Gorbal there. Going to try and pull back and engage these Shaggoths with the Spearmen, but they're going to pull their Shaggoths back. I'm going to start firing at them with the Ungor Raiders. And at this point, I'm just going to engage the enemy army. So we got Morgor in the center, the Beast Shaman, Spearmen going here, here, and here. You can see we have an enemy spell dropping down. I believe it's the Soul Blight to lower our armor and leadership as well as damage in a very wide area. The Centaur is going to whip around the flanks and then going to come back, and I'm going to try and do rear charges on some of these Halberds because, like, I have to send the Centaurs in there somewhere. Meanwhile, in the middle, you can see we have a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, which I'm going to be sending our Minotaur squads in because they are my anti-large right here. I guess technically these Spearmen are as well, but it's my Minotaurs that are here to kill them. Also, I'm going to pounce on their Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death because they decided to charge in against, I think, Morgor to try and kill him. So you can see very quickly we dealt a lot of damage to that Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death. Now, a lot of my army here is withdrawing, but they will come back from breaking and being terrified. Meanwhile, my Ungor Raiders are back here just pelting this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, who is dealing with some Chaos Bond that I summoned to try and keep them and Halberds busy long enough for my Minotaurs to deal damage to that Chaos Sorcerer Lord and to not have to worry about those Halberds. Morgor is going to be left there to tank some damage from these 2 Dragon Ogre Shaggoths, and again, I'm just letting my Raiders fire into them. My Centaurs with great weapons, you can see I did a rear charge on these Halberds, but they did take a lot of damage in return because, well, they're large creatures against Halberds. I get a nice Flock of Doom here and multiple units of the Chaos Warriors with Halberds. And then I'm going to charge the Shaggoths again because they're coming after Morgor. So here come our Gorbals and our Minotaurs with great weapons to try and bring them down, along with the Ungor Raiders. And I'm just trying to remember to keep my Spearmen that are routed to keep him back in the fight, so these should come back soon, and as well as these ones. I'm pulling my Ungor Raiders back from the front line because I need them to focus down these Chaos Ogre, or Dragon Ogre Shaggoths. Going to continue to try and do cycle charges, but this one I kind of mismicroed and left them in there too long, so these Centaurs are actually going to mostly die, but this Centaur is still fresh. My Harpies I sent to chase the Chaos Lord off the battlefield because they were routing and I didn't want them to come back, so there we go. I think they actually maybe killed him? It looks like they killed him over there. So we managed to kill the Sorcerer Lord. I'm going to be... Actually, I don't think I pulled back the Harpies at all. I think I forget about him. But at least they did a task and they chased off and killed the Sorcerer Lord. So now the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is going to get into our Ungor Raiders. I'm trying to withdraw and I'm trying to put Spearmen in between my Ungor Raiders and the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, of which we did kill its brother or sister or whatever you want to call it, its sibling right here with our Minotaur squad, which is still very healthy. And you see the second Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is taking a lot of damage from the Minotaurs and the Ungors, and so it doesn't have much health left. There are still a decent amount of health in all of these Chaos Warriors with Halberds, including this Chosen is just under 50%. Going to try and charge the Shaggoth to finish it off here with my Centaurs. And there we go, the second Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is going to fall, but we still do have a lot of Halberds to deal with. I still do have some Winds of Magic. They're going to cast another Flock of Doom right here on these units. All three of them is going to catch. Actually, I'm sorry, all four of them. Going to withdraw our Minotaurs, try and plug, make sure that the Spearmen are fighting. But this is when my opponent is going to forfeit the match. I don't know if they had a great chance at this point of defeating me because I had mobility with the Minotaurs. I had Winds of Death, or not Winds of Death, Flock of Doom, and I had Centaurs still left that could do cycle charges and things like that. But I think they maybe left a little too early. They still had a lot of Halberds. They still had the Chosen, which are very deadly, and who knows? You never know what could happen. I was going to have to engage them in melee eventually. But anyway, let's take a look at the kill count. 3 kills on Morgor. Great job, Morgor. But he did tank a lot of damage from the Shaggoths, and he drew in the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death, who got countercharged and then eventually killed. The Ungor Spearmen have no chance against Chaos Warrior with Halberds, and especially Chosen with Halberds, but they held the line multiple times and ran. The Ungor Raiders didn't get many kills, but they did do a lot of damage to, I think, 2 Chaos Warriors, and then they did a lot of damage to the Dragon Ogre Shaggoths. Harpies just chased off a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, then I forgot about them. Centaurs did okay, considering they were only fighting against Halberd infantry, and then the Minotaurs did okay, taking down these Shaggoths along with my 2 Gorbals. For Loa here, decent amount of kills across the board for all the Halberd infantry, and then the Shaggoth 50 kills is not terrible. But again, good game to them, and I hope you enjoyed the Beastmen versus Warriors of Chaos Halberd army. Let's watch that in a cinematic view. So this battle for me was all about keeping my Minotaurs safe, my Minotaurs and my 2 Gorbals, safe as I could away from the Halberds while also being able to bring down the Shaggoths. Because again, the Shaggoths have armor piercing and anti-large, so like they can counter Minotaurs just as well as these Minotaurs can counter them. So everything here can kill them, so it was like, well, I have to just minimize the risks, try and only charge in when the Shaggoths are not around their Halberds, and that's really where most of my micro was, just trying to pay attention to my Minotaur's position, the Shaggoths, and any Halberd infantry. Because if they got in to Halberds and the Shaggoths at the same time, whoo, my Minotaurs would be just destroyed, and I needed them. Like they're my backbone here in this battle, which is why I left them out in the cold right here and forgot to move them. And no real sense charging Harpies into the Halberds at this point. That's just suicide for them. So I knew I was going to keep them for charging units that were routing and finish them off that way, because that was really the only good thing that the Harpies would be good for. They could do a rear charge, but I don't think it would be impactful enough to really make too much of a difference, so that's why I just kept them out of the fight for the most part. And they were going to be on cleanup duty, and they did. They cleaned up the Sorcerer Lord. It's a lot of Halberds. There's that initial charge against the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and man, his health just dropped. He is not made for combat against Minotaurs. can see I'm keeping my Minotaurs way safe right now. I'm like, nope. And now here comes a chance to pounce on the Shaggoth, so I think we're going, yep, and there we go, we charge in. Again, it was just all about keeping them away from those Halberds. Minotaurs do not like Halberds. So you can see here, we managed to isolate the Shaggoths. We got the spears right there. This is basically one of the times, like, opportunities I was waiting for. That's why I had my Minotaurs pull back. But now my spearmen are running because they're a bunch of cowards. I don't blame them. There we go. Shaggoth number 1. Flock of Doom, so good. Do you remember when, like, Flock of Doom and what was the other one? Devolve. Do you remember when those spells were like double their size when the beast? Do you remember the first couple days when Beastmen were released before they got hotfixed? How much damage Devolve did in an area twice this size? Do you remember those days? You cast Devolve and you just win the match because it did as much, if not more, damage than what Flock of this Flock spell does now at double the size, and I think also decreased leadership. Like, it was so broken. Oh, it was so broken those days. Those 2 days of Beastman play. I probably show that. Yeah, I do show that off. I don't know what episode it is, but if you've never seen it before, whatever day the Beastmen were released, so look that up, and then look up that day or the next day on my channel, and you should see a Beastman campaign or multiplayer game. And I know I cast Evolve a couple times, and I think I even back then I was like, this is stupid. I remember saying this is stupid, and then the spell got hotfixed like 3 days into their release, and no one used Devolve since. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time. Take care.